All right, well, welcome back to part 6. And we're still going over confirmation, so we are in part 3 of confirmation. Okay? So in confirmation, we talked about the basics of confirmation. We talked in part 2 about the gifts of the Holy Spirit, right? Now we're going to talk about in part 3 the fruits. Okay? The fruits of the Holy Spirit. So think about a tree that bears fruit. The gifts are the things that God gives to us. And then as those gifts bear fruit, as those gifts work in our lives, they come forth as specific types of fruit. Okay? There were 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. There are, traditionally speaking, 9 or 12 fruits of the Holy Spirit, depending which list you go by. We're going to go with 12, just because we like to do it big, right? Okay. Now, you remember your test that I'm going to give you? Okay. So, right here, you have the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Now, that was not all of them. If you want to see right there. Okay. Fruits of the Holy Spirit. Now you'll get this paperwork. You'll get it. Don't worry. Okay. But let's go through these. Now I also have. You remember how to remember the gifts of the Holy Spirit? WCPUF, right? WCKPUFF. Wisdom, counsel, knowledge, piety, understanding, fortitude, fear of the Lord. Okay, that's how I remember it because I'm not very smart. All right. Fruits of the Holy Spirit's a little harder. So we have FL. CKSJ MP PGGG. Okay, all right. Now, flocks, right? You think of a flock of sheep, right? What do sheep do? They jump over fences, don't they? Flocks jumping. Okay, you have to misspell it, but maybe it helps you. You just remember there's 2 P's, 3 G's. Okay? Let's see if I can do it without looking at the paper. I probably can't. Faith, love, chastity, kindness, S. I don't remember the S. Joy, I think the modesty, patience. I don't remember the other P. And then gentleness, generosity, and goodness. I got most of them, right? Okay, what did I miss? Self-control. Self-control and peace. Okay, all right. So let's start going through them. We're going to go through them a little fast, okay? Because you're going to get the paperwork. All right, so we got faith. All right, so what did I say for faith? To trust God and follow Him no matter what, because I know His love for me. Okay, so faith is not just, I'm just going to step off the edge of the cliff and think God will catch me. That's not faith, right? That's just foolishness. Faith is because I know God, because I'm close to God, I trust Him. So faith is I trust God because I know Him. No, not, I don't mean like in your brain know Him. I mean in your heart. I'm going to put heart here. Because you know Him in your heart, because you're close to Him, because I know Him, because I'm close to Him. I trust God because I know Him. And so faith is, I trust God. I trust Him. I trust Him, right? Somebody rattles you, somebody says something in your life, and you say, you know what, I'm not worried about it because I trust God. That's faith, okay? All right. Love. To desire the greatest good for the other. That's a philosophical definition. To desire the greatest good for the other. For the other person, right? The other, or it's for God. I desire the greatest good for someone else. And so that's true love when I desire it, right? It's not just doing it, but I desire it. To desire the greatest good for the other. You think of marriage, right? I want to marry them because I want to help them get to heaven. And so I desire the greatest good for them, to help them get to heaven. Okay? Chastity. We've talked a lot about this. We did theology of the body, right? Chastity is being faithful. And you think of, in a sexual way, if somebody's single, it's faithful to the fact that they're single. It means that they're not having sexual relations with other people, right? Because they're not married. They're not looking at pornography. They're not masturbating. They're not doing any of those things because that's not their state in life, in the sense they're not married, right? So they're not doing what a married person could do, or they're not doing other bad things, some of the bad things I just listed, right? So they're being faithful to their state in life. If somebody's single, they're faithful to that, okay? If somebody's married, they're faithful to their spouse. They're only having sexual relations with their spouse, right? So they're not committing adultery, okay? If somebody's a priest, I'm faithful. I'm living my state in life in a chaste way. It means I'm not having inappropriate relations with anybody else. I'm not looking at pornography. I'm not doing those things, right? Because that's not right. Okay? So it means I'm being chaste. Okay? So I'm called as a priest to be a chaste celibate. Celibate means to not be married. So I'm called to live that chastely, which means I'm faithful to that. Okay? All right. So when we've been talking about fruits of the Holy Spirit, these are things that come from the Holy Spirit, right? As we embrace those gifts, these are things that will bear fruit in our life. Faithfulness bears fruit in our life. Love bears fruit in our life. Chastity bears fruit in our life. So these are things that create in the world something beautiful, something more. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Kindness. Okay, you see how we're going through the list here? Faith, love, chastity, kindness. Kindness bears fruit in the world. So kindness is when we're treating others with words and actions that will help them feel loved and secure. All right, so yeah. So it's treating others in such a manner where they're going to be loved and find security. Okay? So it's how it's treating others in a way that creates love and security. You notice we feel very secure when we're around somebody who's kind. High school can be a difficult time. Sometimes there's not tons of kindness, right? And you meet somebody who's really kind to you when like nobody else is. You remember that person. I remember people in my life who were kind to me when nobody else was really being kind, and because they treated me in a way that created love and security in my life. Okay? So kindness is a fruit. It's a beautiful fruit when we're kind to people. All right. Self-control. Well, self-control means to be in control of oneself, all right? So the ability to be in control of one's desires and passions and order them rightly, okay? So you're in control of one's desires and passions. So passions is really just another way of saying desires. Desires and passions, and orders them rightly, and orders them. Orders them rightly. Okay, so for example, let's say you're really upset about something. Self-control means you don't let your anger go just ballistic. You don't let it just go out of control where you're throwing things, you're having a temper tantrum. Self-control means that you might get angry, but then let's say you're having a fight with one of your parents or something, right? Or for the RCIA folks, with your spouse, right? You're having a fight. Well, self-control will have you say, you know what, look, I'm really angry. I need to step out. I need to go for a drive for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I can talk about it. That's self-control. Whereas the other way is throwing chanclas and throwing books and throwing plates, and that's not self-control. Okay? So to be in control of oneself. So that was an example of anger. Example of so this is like where people maybe really are impulsive. It's like, I want to do something, so I'm just going to go do it. And self-control pulls us back and says, no, I need to think about this. Is this rightly ordered? Is this ordered rightly, right? Okay. I struggle with that in my own life. Self-control has been a hard one for me. For my whole life, it's been a hard one for me. I'm a bit impulsive. All right. Okay, you got all that? I'm going to take a picture of it. I think it's pretty much all on the paper, but I'm just going to take a picture of it anyways. Okay? Actually, I took 2 pictures of it. Okay, so the next one is if we were on S, you see the S right there? Self-control, we have a J. What is the J? That's right. J is joy, right? Joy. We all want joy in our lives, right? Joy is happiness. Happiness because of God's love in my life. Joy is happiness because, I'm sorry, I screwed that one up. Joy is happiness because of God's love for me and others. Okay? So joy is happiness because of God's love for me and others. And you think about it. I could have the whole world crumbling around me. You could have the whole world crumbling around you, right? Just falling apart. But you can be joyful because you have an experience of God's love for you and for others. You ever been in the hospital where you're visiting somebody who's dying? One of the graces as a priest is to be there for people when they're dying. And when I'm there, I can be there joyfully for them because I know of God's love for them. Right? Okay. Modesty. So we got M, modesty. Okay, modesty, not trying to draw attention to oneself, especially by immoral behavior. For example, dressing in a way that attracts attention to one's body, or telling bad jokes or comments to get attention. So immodesty is a desire for attention. Modesty is not, I don't know how you say it in a positive way, but not desiring to get attention. Right? So when we say somebody's dressed immodestly, They're dressing in a way to attract attention. They're showing off their body to attract attention, right? That's immodesty. Immodest behavior, like you think of boys, is when they make immodest comments. They make sexual comments. They that's a form of immodesty. The word also, it's showing off. It's immodest behavior, it's showing off. Desiring, so when do we show off? When we want attention, right? It's a form of immodesty, okay? You'll get this on the paper, right? All right. The next one is, we're in the P's now. Peace. So peace, to be tranquil. To be tranquil and secure, because one is close to the mind and heart of God. I have peacefulness. I'm at peace in my life, not because everything's perfect, but because I am close to the mind and the heart of God. Tranquil, to be close to God, close to the mind and heart of God. I'm at peace. Right? How do we get peace in the world? We help it become close to the mind and heart of God. How do we have peace in the world? We help it become close to the mind and heart of God. Right? Okay. Patience, the second P, patience. Lots and lots of people confess in confession being impatient, right? Patience is accepting. Accepting one's current situation in their life and not trying to rush or hurry it, not trying to push it faster than God's will, right? We are often impatient when we look down on others and consider their lives less important than our own. That's one example of impatience, right? So one of the reasons that we become impatient is because of pride. I get impatient with people in traffic because my life is more important than theirs. That's pride. That's not humility. But I can have patience in traffic when I realize that my life is no more important than anybody else's and we're all stuck in this together, right? So, patience. Somebody's very patient with little kids, like teachers, really good teachers are very patient with little kids because they don't look down on the kids, but actually they look up to them in the sense of the desire to feed them with knowledge and to feed them and to help them grow, right? So, being able to accept the limitations of one's circumstances, being able to accept one's weaknesses, but the key is accepting the present for what it is, right? So accepting the present situation. And I'm going to create a little new definition here. Accepting the present situation with love. Accepting the present situation with love. Okay? All right. I'm just going to take a picture of this real quick. Okay. All right, we're in the G's, right? Okay, so gentleness. Gentleness, the ability to treat others with great tenderness. So we put tenderness. Tenderness. Especially for those who are fragile. Okay, so it's being able to look into a person and realize that somebody's fragile, somebody needs tenderness, they need gentleness, right? So if somebody hands you a butterfly, right? Well, you need to be gentle with it because the butterfly's fragile. Okay? You can't treat it really roughly. So it's tenderness, it's the ability to be tender with someone that's fragile. Okay? And there's times where we need gentleness. It's like we need to be gentle. Okay? All right. Goodness, and in this context, as a gift as a fruit of the Holy Spirit, it's something supernatural. The gentleness would be something supernatural. It would be something that you might not be able to do just on your own. Okay? All right. Goodness. So being concerned for the good of others. So being concerned for the good of others. So volunteering your time to help others is a sign of goodness because you're trying to create something that's good for the sake of others, right? Doing someone a favor, going out of your way for somebody. These are all signs of goodness because you're concerned for the good of others, okay? All right. And then generosity. So generosity is to love others more than one's own possessions. Thus, you desire to share with them. So generosity is a desire to share. Desire to share. And it means I love others more than I love my possessions. I love others more than I love my own possessions. Therefore, and then having the desire to share them. Okay? All right. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to call it good for now. These are the fruits of the Holy Spirit. This is part 3, right? Part 3 of confirmation, part 6 in our video series. I'm going to update my little test because some of these definitions I've changed a little bit. I've tweaked. And then we're going to get this all out to you. All right? All right. God bless you. I hope you're surviving and doing okay in the midst of this quarantine and staying at home. Stay close to God. Pray a lot. Show all these gifts, these fruits to your family, right? Maybe even teach your little brothers and sisters some of these things. That would be a great thing. That would be a sign of counsel, right? Sharing with others. Okay. All right. God bless you.